Hello students, welcome back. In this video we will be studying about compounds and the differences between compounds and mixtures. So without delay, let's start. Now compounds. First of all, let us define compounds. So compounds means they are the substances which are made up of two or more elements combined together in a fixed proportion by mass. Okay, means they are made up of two or more elements. Fine, elements means like for example hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, etc. Fine, and always remember, that is the key point over here, that is in case of compounds the proportion is fixed. Fine, let us understand this by an example. See, I have written one example here. For example, water. Okay, so we all know that the formula for water is H2O. Okay, now H2O, here you can see two hydrogen atoms. Here hydrogen and oxygen are elements. Okay, when I am saying H2, H2 means two hydrogen atoms are combining with one oxygen atom. Okay, so total number of atoms are 3, isn't it? Total number of atoms over here are 3, but total number of elements are 2. Okay, elements are only hydrogen and oxygen, and atoms are 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. Fine, so they are combining by in a fixed proportion. That is, whenever you are talking about water, always it will have this formula only, H2O. Okay, here hydrogen and oxygen have been combined in the ratio of 1:8 by mass. Now as I told you, this ratio is of mass. Fine, you will study further what does it mean by mass. Okay, just remember now. Now see, whether you take tap water or you take ocean water, okay, or you take muddy water, or you take distilled water, or you take rain water, everywhere the formula for water is H2O only. Okay, it may have some impurities in it, but it is the formula for it will always be what? H2O. That is what a compound is. Compound may be made up of two or more elements, okay, which are combining, chemically combining. Okay, that is the important point, which are combining in a fixed proportion by mass. That is, compounds will always have a fixed formula. Now let's see the differences between compounds and mixtures. About mixtures and their types we have already studied in our previous video. Now we'll see the differences between these compounds and mixtures. Okay, let us take one example of each. Fine, and then I'll explain you each one of the point. So in this case of mixture, I gave you one example, that is a combination of iron plus sulfur. Okay, when we have sulfur powder, and in that we sprinkle some iron particles. Okay, so iron fillings. Okay, that I gave you the example. In case of compounds, again it will be the same, Fe plus S, but now because it is the formation, so this will be the compound FeS. Okay, FeS जो है, that will be the compound form. Fine, so let us see now what it is. So the first difference is, compounds, they cannot be separated by some simple processes like evaporation, filtration, magnetic separation, etc. Okay, like for example, if I have made this compound FeS, ठीक है, FeS जो compound है हमने वो बना दिया है, ठीक है, तो क्या होगा, once it has been made, you cannot separate it by simple filtration, या आयरन मैग्नेटिक होता है तो आप उसके ऊपर से मैग्नेट पास करो तो आयरन मतलब मैग्नेट के साथ अट्रैक्ट हो जाएगा, ऐसा पॉसिबल नहीं है. किसके केस में? इन केस ऑफ द कंपाउंड्स. ओके, सो वंस कंपाउंड्स आर फॉर्म, यू कैनॉट सेपरेट देम बाय सिंपल प्रोसेसेस. ये पॉइंट याद रखना, ठीक है. यहाँ पे मैंने प्रोसेसेस जो लिखे हैं वो सिंपल प्रोसेसेस ही हैं. फाइन, यू कैन ऐड दिस वर्ड ओवर हियर इनटू इट्स कंस्टिट्यूएंट्स बाय सिंपल प्रोसेसेस लाइक फिल्ट्रेशन, इवेपोरेशन एक्सेट्रा. ठीक है. लेकिन in case of mixtures, just the opposite of that, of compounds, they can be separated by some simple processes. Okay, जैसे कि same Fe plus sulfur powder. Sulfur powder एक container में हमारे पास है. In that if I have sprinkled this iron fillings, तो अगर मैं magnet उसके ऊपर से pass करती हूँ, then what will happen? All the iron fillings will attract to what? To this particular magnet, and because of which now what will remain in the container behind? Only the sulfur powder. Okay, तो ये मिक्सचर्स को आप इजीली सेपरेट कर सकते हो. ठीक है. आपके पास वही एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं दोबारा से. आप यू हैव दैट मिक्सचर नमकीन रियल पैकेट्स. ओके, तो यू कैन सेपरेट आउट सिंगदाना, देन whatever things are there, आप उनको सेपरेट कर सकते हो, isn't it? बट अगर वही मम्मा ने उसकी कोई मिठाई बना दी फॉर एग्जाम्पल, isn't it? जैसे सींगदाने की बर्फ़ी बना दी. ठीक है, मुंह में पानी आ रहा है. सींगदाने की बर्फ़ी बना दी, ठीक है, क्रश करके. तो क्या आप उसमें से अलग अलग सब चीज़ें, शुगर अलग कर सकते हो, सींगदाना अलग कर सकते हो? नहीं ना. तो समझ लो वो जो बर्फ़ी है ना सींगदाने की, that is what? That is your compound. Okay, and the simple mixture नमकीन जो जिसमें सींगदाना है वो क्या हो गई? आपकी मिक्सचर हो गई. ठीक है, फाइन. Now the second property we will see. Their properties are entirely different from its constituent. मैं दोनों एग्जाम्पल समझाती हूँ तुम्हें. Their properties are entirely different from its constituent. ठीक है, यानी कि ये जो FeS कंपाउंड बन रहा है, पहली बात तो Fe और S को हीट कर रहे हो तभी बनता है. ठीक है, FeS, ये याद रखना. Fe और S को हीट करते हो तो FeS बनता है, वो कंपाउंड है. फॉर्मूला लिखा है ना मैंने यहाँ पे, और Fe प्लस S लिखा है क्योंकि वो मिक्सचर है, उसका कोई फॉर्मूला नहीं होता मिक्सचर का. ओके, तो in case of compounds, their properties are entirely different from their constituents. That means once this compound is formed, it will show some different properties. Okay, it will it will not show their characteristic properties of sulfur and iron, but it will show entirely different properties. But in case of mixtures have the tendency to show the properties of their constituents. When I am saying constituents means from which they are made up of. Okay, in case of mixtures have the tendency to show the properties of each of its constituents. Now, the third one is energy in form of heat and light is usually given or absorbed during their preparation. As I told you just now, in case of this compound formation of FeS, what we have to do? We have to heat. We have to take iron, we have to take sulfur and heat it. Then only this compound will be formed. Okay. But in case of mixture, that is what I said. So you are heating. That is, in this case of compound formation, you are heating. That means you are providing energy in form of heat. Okay. That's what it is written. Energy in form of heat and light is usually given or absorbed during their preparation. Okay, but in case of mixture, हमने iron fillings ली, हमने sulfur powder लिया, यूनियन करके mix कर दिया. Okay, so no as such energy is given out or absorbed in case of mixture formation. Okay. Now the next difference is its composition is fixed. Okay, that is when iron and sulfur are combining in this example of FeS. So they will combine in a fixed composition, fixed ratio by mass, as I told you in case of water previously. Okay, they always combine by the ratio 1:8 by mass. Okay, hydrogen and oxygen का ratio कितना होता है? 1:8 in case of water. Okay, so they always, that's what it is told. That was the simplest example, तो मैंने उसका ही दिया तुमको. Its composition is always fixed. ठीक है, but in case of mixture there is no fixed composition, it is variable. ठीक है। आप जब मिक्सचर प्रोड्यूस करते हो, जैसे हम आयरन फिलिंग्स और सल्फर पाउडर मिक्स कर रहे हैं, तो वे करके नहीं करते कि भाई 10 ग्राम सल्फर पाउडर, इतना आयरन फिलिंग्स ही मिक्स करना है मिक्सचर बनाने के लिए। आप कितना भी ले सकते हो, ओके। 10 की जगह 15 भी ले सकते हो, 20 भी ले सकते हो, 20 ग्राम्स ऑफ आयरन फिलिंग्स भी सल्फर पाउडर भी ले सकते हो, और आयरन फिलिंग्स भी जितनी मन चाहे उतनी ले सकते हो, ओके। एंड नेक्स्ट, इन केस ऑफ कंपाउंड, as we have written, its composition is fixed. तो कंपोजिशन अगर फिक्स्ड है तो ऑब्वियसली दे विल हैव अ फिक्स्ड फॉर्मूला। सो जिन जिन चीज़ों का फॉर्मूला होता है वो सब कंपाउंड्स होते हैं, ऐसा याद रख लो, ठीक है। यू कैन रिमेंबर देम इट लाइक दिस, दैट those substances which have a fixed form, which have a formula, are what they all are the compounds, okay. And mixtures, as they do not have a fixed composition, so they do not have any fixed formula, okay. Then in case of compounds, now देखो, if the formula is fixed, definite, so their boiling point and melting points will also be fixed. That's what written BP and NP. Boiling and melting points will be fixed. But in case of mixture, because they have variable composition, and hence their boiling and melting point will also be variable, okay. Because boiling and melting point depend upon the forces प्रेजेंट इन बिटवीन द पार्टिकल्स। तो पार्टिकल्स ज़्यादा होंगे तो फोर्सेस ज़्यादा होंगे, तो बॉइलिंग पॉइंट भी ज़्यादा होगा। पार्टिकल्स कम होंगे तो फोर्सेस कम होंगे, तो बॉइलिंग और मेल्टिंग पॉइंट भी कम होगा, okay. So these all are the various differences between compounds and mixtures. Now I hope you are clear with what are the differences and what are actually compounds and what are actually the mixtures, okay. So stay tuned for the next video. We'll be studying about the type of solutions.